Long before the first cities rose, before metal tasted fire, before history had a name, the night belonged to something else. When the sun fell behind the ancient horizon and darkness poured across the land, the world did not sleep. It listened. Somewhere beyond the reach of firelight, a sound cut through the cold air, deep, resonant, and heavy with intent. It was not a single voice, but many, merging into one relentless presence. This was the age of the monster wolf. Across Ice Age plains and frozen forests, massive wolves moved like shadows given muscle and hunger. Larger than any wolf known today, their bodies were built for endurance and power, thick-boned and broad-skulled, with jaws shaped by millions of years of survival. Their fur absorbed moonlight, their breath steamed in the freezing air, and their eyes reflected fire like distant stars. These were not lone hunters wandering blindly through the wild. They were organized, patient, and devastatingly efficient. The land itself was harsh beyond imagination. Endless grasslands stretched beneath ice-bitten winds, snow packed hard as stone, broken only by the movement of mammoths, bison, horses, and giant deer. Survival here was not guaranteed by strength alone. It demanded intelligence, cooperation, and the willingness to confront death every single day. In this brutal world, the monster wolf thrived. Hunting began long before the chase. From elevated ridges and forest edges, the pack observed. They read the land the way humans would one day read maps. Weakness revealed itself in limping steps, in labored breath, in calves straying too far from the herd. Nothing escaped their attention. Hunger sharpened every sense. Patience defined every decision. When the moment arrived, the pack moved as one living organism. No wasted energy, no chaotic rush. Wolves fanned outward, circling silently, cutting off escape routes while remaining unseen. Snow muffled their steps, wind carried their scent away. Prey often sensed danger only when it was already too late. The chase was not a sprint, it was a war of endurance. Monster wolves were built to run for hours, their lungs pumping cold air, their muscles burning without slowing. Prey panicked, fled, exhausted itself. Each stumble widened the gap, each breath brought the inevitable closer. When the animal finally collapsed, surrounded and trembling, the wolves closed in with practiced precision. But this world did not belong to wolves alone. Somewhere near the edges of the plains, another hunter watched the darkness with equal caution. Early humans, small, fragile, and vastly outmatched physically, survived not through strength, but through awareness and unity. Fire burned low at their camps, casting trembling shadows across stone tools and watchful faces. They knew the sound of the wolf. It haunted their nights and shaped their instincts. To these humans, the monster wolf was not just an animal, it was a force of nature, a rival, a test of survival itself. Human hunts were deliberate and dangerous. Venturing into wolf territory meant stepping into a domain where mistakes were fatal. Spears were sharpened, notched with stone points meant to penetrate thick fur and muscle. Fires were carried, not just for warmth, but as weapons against the dark. Every rustle in the grass, every distant howl carried meaning. Encounters were inevitable. Sometimes humans followed wolves, tracking their kills to scavenge what remained. Other times wolves followed humans, drawn by the scent of blood, meat, and vulnerability. These meetings were tense standoffs, eyes locked across flickering firelight, breath visible in the cold, each side calculating risk. When conflict erupted, it was brutal and fast. Wolves tested defenses with feints and sudden charges. Humans formed tight circles, spears outward, fire at their backs. Victory belonged to the group that held its ground without breaking. There were no heroes here, only survivors. Over generations, something remarkable began to happen. Not all wolves were enemies. Some lingered at a distance, drawn to camps but not attacking. They fed on scraps, bones, and discarded remains. Humans tolerated them, then watched them. These wolves were less aggressive, more curious, more willing to exist near fire and noise. Slowly, across centuries, fear softened into familiarity. From the monster wolf emerged the first fragile steps toward companionship, a relationship that would reshape the future of both species. But the age of the true monster wolf would not last forever. The climate shifted, ice retreated, grasslands transformed, prey animals disappeared or evolved. Humans grew more numerous, more organized, more efficient hunters. Spears became better, coordination became deadlier. The balance that once favored the wolf began to tip. The giant wolves faded, replaced by smaller, more adaptable descendants. Their howls grew fewer, their shadows thinner. Eventually, they vanished entirely, leaving behind bones buried beneath ice and soil, waiting to be discovered thousands of years later. Yet their legacy remains. Every modern wolf carries echoes of that ancient predator. Every dog carries fragments of a monster that once ruled the night. And deep within the human mind, something still responds to the sound of a distant howl, a memory older than language, older than history. It is the memory of being hunted. It is the memory of hunting back. In the frozen darkness of the Ice Age, the monster wolf shaped fear, survival, and evolution itself. It forced humans to become smarter, braver, and united. It carved lessons into the human story that still guide us today. This was not a battle between good and evil. It was a struggle between two apex intelligences competing for the same world, one ruled by fang and endurance, the other by fire and cooperation. And for a time, under a sky heavy with stars and silence, the night truly belonged to the monster wolf.